back to the PurpleDon Enlightenment Hour. I am Morgan, the PurpleDon, whatever the hell you want to call me these days. And today, we're going to be talking about, just for a little bit, about something that I absolutely love. It is one of my favourite things on the entire planet, and it's not a TV show, it's not a movie series, it's not anything else. It's its own special little beautiful thing. It is the movie trivia Schmoedown. Now, I know a few of you that will listen, that will be listening to this, are very familiar with the movie trivia Schmoedown. But hopefully, if you aren't, hopefully this may give you some sort of... Hopefully this will make you want to watch the movie trivia Schmoedown, or the Schmoedown as I always call it. It's exactly what it sounds like. For those who aren't familiar, it is a movie trivia sort of... No, because that's not even right. I was going to call it a quiz show, but it's not a quiz show at all. That's a terrible description of what it is. Think WWE wrestling with movie trivia. But, and this is what the best thing is about the Schmoedown, is that the results of the matches, unlike the WWE, are not predetermined. It's real movie trivia with WWE showmanship, and it is the single greatest online production I've ever come across. Is that going a bit too far? Am I being too nice to the Schmoedown? I don't think I am. I don't think I'm being too nice to the Schmoedown there. It is truly something special. But we're not just going to be talking in general about the Schmoedown, because as of this past week, the yearly singles tournament has begun. The ultimate Schmoedown has begun, and I have a nice bracket in front of me that I did. We are, like I said, it started this past week, which means we are two games in. Two matches into the singles tournament for 2017. Now, I know for those who aren't necessarily familiar with the Schmoedown, a lot of this may go over your heads. I will try as much as possible to explain things that need to be explained, but just know it's a movie trivia show. It's produced by Collider Video on YouTube and created by Christian Harloff and Mark Ellis back in 2014, where it was only a yearly tournament up until 2016, when it became a fully fledged league over at Collider Video, and it has grown immensely since then, and I believe it deserves all the credit it gets. But let's get into this bracket, like I said, because we are talking Ultimate Schmoedown singles tournament today. Now, like I said, we are two matches in, and those matches were Jeff the Insnider Snyder, a villain of the league, and a member of the most, and it hurts me to say this, a member of the most dominant team in the Schmoedown's history, the Patriots, along with his fellow New Englander, or Bostonian. I don't know where JTE is from. It's JTE. But yes, Jeff Snyder played Matt Nost of the top 10, team top 10, the top 10 podcast, which is a great show. And I had Matt Nost to win that first round game. And Matt Nost, now, we are going to get into... Well, I'm gonna say who won these first two matches, because I believe you can sort of come on and start watching the Schmoedown at any point, really. That's another thing that's sort of great about it, you know. It doesn't play like a television series. There are in fact storylines in there, but as soon as you sort of hear about a storyline, it's very easy to sort of figure out what's going on. And, I mean, I'm saying this having watched all of the Schmoedowns back up to the 2015 tournament, but from what I hear from people that even just watch the odd few when certain people are going up against each other, they've found it particularly sort of easy to just grab onto, and it's an easy thing to love as well. It's an easy thing to love. But yes, Jeff Snyder versus Matt Nost was the first round game. I had Matt Nost to win, and Matt Nost did not win. Sadly. Very, very sadly. Jeff Snyder progressed to the second round. Now, like I said, I'm going to go through my entire bracket because the commissioner, Christian Harloff, likes fans to compile these brackets, and we send them in, and there's a pretty big, impressive prize for whoever sends in a correct bracket this year. If they are based in if the person who wins the bracket, basically, not the competitor but the fan, if they live in the US, Christian is having them flown out to LA to compete in a Schmoedown match of their own. And if they live outside of the US, I think we get to pick basically the rules of a certain game. So we get the two competitors, or whether it can be teams, I'm not quite sure. Because the team league, they have the singles league and the team league. The team tournament for this year has its finalists, and that final will be taking place in December. But yeah, we are going to be focusing on the singles tournament. But yes, if we live outside of the US and win the bracket, we get to choose who plays who and what sort of format that is in. Got that? Great. I know. I do apologise to those people actually who aren't familiar at all with the Schmoedown. This will just be going right over people's heads. But we'll move on to the result of the second match in round one that played itself out on Friday, this past Friday, and that was Mike the Killer Kalinowski of DC Movie News and Josh McCougar. And Josh McCougar, who is one of my absolute favourite online people, has just got married this weekend. And I'm so happy for him, because it looked like a blast from what I saw on social media. It looked like the best time, and I'm very happy for Josh McCougar right now. Josh McCougar, of course, a Collider employee, host of TV Talk there. I had Josh McCougar to win that game against Mike Kalinowski. Josh McCougar is renowned for his guessing ability in the Schmoedown. I believe he still holds the record for the most total games played in the Schmoedown. At 15, I believe he's played in 15 singles matches. I had Josh McCougar to beat Mike Kalinowski, and Mike Kalinowski knocked out Josh McCougar. And a knockout is, well, there are 3 rounds to a standard Schmoedown match. A knockout is when the 3rd round doesn't matter. McCougar had an absolute nightmare, to be quite honest. And Mike Kalinowski had a very, very solid game, and he will be going in to the 2nd round, joining Jeff Snyder, although not playing Jeff Snyder in the 2nd round. Now, for those players who have not played yet, sticking on the same side of the bracket, Mike Kalinowski now, after beating Josh McCougar in a knockout, honestly, will be playing either Clark Wolf or Brianne Chandler, Miss Movies. And that is a very interesting game. That is 2 of the top female competitors in the Schmoedown. Clark Wolf, of course, former host of Collider Nightmares before that sort of finished, very, very sadly. But a frequent Collider resident is Clark Wolf, and Brianne Chandler, Miss Movies, of course, has her own wonderful channel. That is, in fact, a featured on the other awesomeness list of featured channels. If you are listening to this on YouTube, you can go and check out Miss Movies over there. And, well, that being said, in this game, I have Brianne to win. And it's going to be a hard game for Brianne, because Clark Wolf is very, very good. But I don't know. My heart says Brianne. And that would mean that Brianne would play Mike Kalinowski in the 2nd round. It's going to be a tough one. If Clark Wolf gets what she wants on the wheel in the 2nd round, because in the 2nd round the competitors spin a wheel and there's categories on the wheel, and you get 4 questions corresponding to that category each. If Clark Wolf gets what she wants on the wheel, and you'd think that that's going to be horror thriller, or something like that, and Brianne doesn't necessarily get a massive strength of hers, then it could very easily go the other way. But I don't know. Clark Wolf has sort of a history of unfortunate spins on that wheel. And, yeah, my heart just says Brianne's winning that one. I really like the sort of showmanship that Brianne has brought to the Schmoedown as well, because I know that when she originally started, she was quite hesitant, because she's been quite open about this, and this is, it's great to see. She's quite hesitant to sort of fully embrace everything that the Schmoedown is, but now she has really done that. She's turned heel almost, so, like turned villain. She's silent. She has Jay Washington shouting for her in post-match interviews and such. She barely says a word. She comes in like an assassin. In some of the best entrances we've ever seen in the Schmoedown have been from Brienne, with or without her teammate Stacey Howard, who you can find on an episode of my other show, Horror House. There's a sly little plug. But yes, I have Brienne beating Clark Wolf and ultimately then going on to face Mike Kalinowski in the second round. Going back on to Jeff Snyder and sticking on the same side of the bracket, Jeff Snyder, after beating Matt Nost, has progressed into the second round, and the other first round match there is JTE versus Drew McWeeny. JTE, Jeff Snyder's teammate, Jeff Snyder's dominant teammate, champion teammate with the Patriots. Nobody likes the Patriots. They're awful people. I mean, they're not awful people in real life, obviously, but it's a character for the Schmoedown. And some people still don't even realise that, and it just makes me shake my head when I see that sort of stuff on Facebook groups and whatnot. But yeah, we could be looking at a JTE versus Jeff Snyder at an all Patriots second round match there, which the faction that the Patriots are a member of, called the Lions Den, that also consists of Tom Dagnino as the sort of main insane voice man of the group. It also has Robert Meyer Burnett in there, who is primarily an Inner Geekdom player, and the Inner Geekdom is the third sort of format between singles and teams that is purely geeky-based categories, basically. And, of course, Grace Hancock, the Queen of the Jungle, as she's known, who... yeah. Grace is wonderful. It saddens me that she's a member of the Lions Den, because she's so wonderful in real life. She is a co-host on TV Talk with Josh McCougar on Collider. But moving on from the Lions Den, like I said, we have JT versus Drew McWeeny. And Drew McWeeny has been an absolute beast in the past few months. It's his team that basically just had a dominant run to the finals in the team tournament a couple of months ago, or a month ago, or however long, I can't exactly remember. But Drew McWeeny has been in scintillating form in the Schmoedown as of late, and there's only one way I can see this going, and it's a McWeeny victory. I don't think JT is going to get the chance to play his partner in crime. I think it's going to be Drew McWeeny versus Jeff Snyder in that second round match. Let's move on to the other side of the bracket. And we have arguably my favourite competitor. And yeah, I'd comfortably say my favourite competitor in the Schmoedown, and that is John Roker, co-host of the Top 10 show with Matt Nost, Collider employee himself, frequent movie talk panellist and TV talk panellist as well, occasionally on Collider Jedi Council. He is going up against Jason Inman of DC All Access. Now, Jason Inman is such a lovely human being. He won a fatal 5-way with that's 5 competitors in one Schmoedown match. He won that in order to get himself into this tournament to play John Roker in the first round. And I just think it's going to be too much for Inman. I just think Roker's going to be too much for him, and I just think Roker's too... I mean, I don't want to discredit Jason Inman. I think I'd feel more comfortable discrediting Jason Inman if he wasn't such a delightful human being. But I just think Roker's just got... He's that step up in knowledge. Where he's that step up in just facts on films that you don't necessarily expect him to know. You don't expect most people to know. But Roker has that knowledge. And, I mean, especially if Roker gets a good spin on the wheel. A lot does ride on this wheel in the Schmoedown in the second round. But if Roker gets a classics or a biopics, or even a westerns, something like that, then I don't know, if Roker gets a good spin on the wheel, it might even end up in a knockout, and we might have 2 knockouts in the first round. I'm not sure it's going to be a knockout. I think Inman's better than that. Inman's definitely better than that. And if he gets a comic book movies category on the wheel, it could very easily go to Inman, providing what might then happen in the second round. But I've got Roker winning that. We move down and we've got William Bibiani versus Sam Levine. Now, William Bibiani, when he first came into the Schmoedown, looked to be the next champion. He has since faltered somewhat. He's not on a hot streak. He's on a bit of a cold streak, to be perfectly honest. He was knocked out. His team was knocked out in the first round of the team tournament by a team late to the party who were fans of the Schmoedown, who Commissioner Christian Harloff invited to compete in a game, and they've sort of taken to the league. They are now a part of the league. But William Bibiani is not on a good streak at the minute, and he's playing Sam Levine. Sam Levine, the actor from Freaks and Geeks and Inglourious Bastards and other such things. I've got Sam Levine winning. Sam Levine is Drew McWeeny teammate. And like I said before, Drew McWeeny team above the line that he has with Sam Levine have pretty much dominated on their run to the team tournament finals. And that is in no small part due to Sam Levine, because he can really pull some knowledge out. Sam Levine's a weird one. He doesn't know the stuff that you'd think most people would know, but he knows the stuff that you'd think most people wouldn't know. And I think Sam Levine will beat William Bibiani. And I think that might be 2 first-round knockouts in the tournament for the Beast. Sam Levine, I've got you playing John Roker in the second round. We'll get on to how I think that's going to go later. The next match we've got is Stacey Howard, Breanne Chandler's teammate in Team 6 Degrees, and guest on episode 23 of HorrorHouse, I think. Go and check that out. Versus Mark Ellis. Mark Baby Carrots Ellis, one of the darlings of the league, one of the creators of the Schmoedown. It's a very, very tough one for Stacey Howard. It's a very, very tough one for Stacey Howard. I can see no other way than a Mark Ellis victory. Mark Ellis nearly won the title. Mark Ellis has held the team titles, along with Christian Harloff in Team Schmoes. There's only one victor there. Ellis, Mark, Baby Carrots Ellis. I've got you in the second round. Now, the last first round match is a very, very interesting one. Rachel the Crusher Cushing versus Mark Andreyko. Rachel Cushing, who... she was a writer for Schmoedown.com, and more recently she's been on camera on Collider's Thrones Talk, the Game of Thrones recap show. She is a geek through and through. She's sort of she's a big favourite in the Inner Geekdom format. And I have her winning this game. Now, this isn't an Inner Geekdom tournament, of course. This is just a standard singles tournament. But Rachel Cushing is very good when it comes to Oscar movies. She's good when it comes to classics. And she's, give her like sci-fi fantasy, and she'll do pretty well as well. Mark Andreyko is no slouch. Mark Andreyko is a very, very good competitor. And if he gets something along the lines of comic book movies, or I don't even know, because Andreyko seems like he's got many little strengths, but a few weaknesses as well. I've got Rachel Cushing progressing to the second round, and that means that Rachel Cushing will then come up against Mark Ellis, and that's an even more interesting match. But now that we've got our second round competitors done, let's move back over to the other side of the bracket, where we had Brianne Chandler in the second round going up against Mike Kalinowski, and I've got Brianne Chandler winning that one. Now, I originally didn't think that Mike Kalinowski would beat Josh McCougar, so I had Josh McCougar in the second round going up against Brianne, and I wrote down here, filling in the bracket, that Brianne would beat Josh McCougar. So if I think that Brianne would beat Josh McCougar, I'm going to also think that Brianne would beat the man who I thought Josh McCougar would beat in Mike Kalinowski. Now, Mike Kalinowski did play a very, very, very good game against McCougar, but McCougar was not on his game. He did not have a good day. And I still think Brianne will bring that out against Kalinowski. Kalinowski's sort of the good guy of the league. Brianne might even get to him psychologically, because Brianne's just deadly. And that's what I love. I've got Brianne beating Mike Kalinowski, and that means Brianne moves into not the finals, but the semi-finals, or the finals in her side of the bracket. Now we've then got Jeff Snyder versus Drew McWeeny, and again, a similar situation. I thought Matt Nost would pull off what admittedly would have been an upset against Jeff Snyder, but I had him winning, but he didn't. We've got Jeff Snyder versus Drew McWeeny in the second round. That's what we've got written down. And Drew McWeeny wins that one for me. I just think it's this hot streak I'm talking about. I can't see it going away anytime soon. Snyder's a very, very good competitor, but he does have those weak spots. Drew McWeeny, I'm struggling to think of any weak spots. Any weak spots that have at least, come up yet. And he's played a few games now. He has played a fair few games now. I think it'll be a very high-scoring game. I think it'll be a very, very interesting game. It'll be a really tense affair, I think. And it should go all the way. And I hope it does go all the way to the last question. But I still think Drew McWeeny will win. Maybe this is a bit of anti-Lions Den bias, not anti-Patriots bias. But I think Drew McWeeny is the stronger out of Jeff Snyder and himself. What makes this even more interesting is that Drew McWeeny, like I said, is in the finals of the teams of the team tournament along with his teammate Sam Levine in Team Above the Line. Should Above the Line win that team tournament final, they will go up against Jeff Snyder's Patriots in December for the championship. Drew McWeeny could come and Drew McWeeny this year could come in and beat Jeff Snyder to the ground. And I think he might just do that. I've got McWeeny then going up against Brianne Chandler in the semi-finals of this tournament. Moving back over to the other side, we had John Roker versus Sam Levine in the second round. And although Levine is a good competitor, the reason I had him beating William Bibiani in the first round was because the Beast is on a cold streak. I think Sam Levine's got the knowledge, I do, but he does have a lot of weaknesses. He has more weaknesses than Roker has. I've got Roker going in to the semi-finals on that side. With that, we've got also then the most interesting match of my predicted second round, I think at least. Maybe Snyder McWeeny but Mark Ellis versus Rachel Cushing could be really interesting. Ellis has got a very strong game. Ellis has got a very, very strong game, but my heart is shouting out Rachel Cushing. Rachel, I have got you progressing to play John Roker in the semi-finals. I think, admittedly, I'd have to say, in that matchup, Rachel's a slight underdog. But Mike Ellis hasn't played a lot recently. Of his own choice, of course. But maybe Ellis's sort of complete absence of any sort of form may let him down. But I've got Rachel Cushing progressing to play John Roker on that side. And let's talk about that game. John Roker versus Rachel Cushing. Now, like I said before, John Roker is my favourite competitor in the entire Schmoedown. So I'm going to have to apologise to Rachel Cushing, but I've got John Roker beating Rachel. And I even think that one will be an interesting one. People people should not look past Rachel Cushing. Do not discredit Rachel Cushing as just an inner geekdom player. Or a fantasy, sci-fi. She has a lot of knowledge. She has a lot of knowledge. And if she's focused, she could take Roker all the way down to that final question. But I do think Roker would pull it out. Hopefully Roker doesn't get flustered like he sometimes can in tense situations. But I've got Roker progressing to the finals. And on the other side, we have Drew McWeeny versus Brianne Chandler. And you don't know how much I want to say Brianne would win this. Maybe she will. Maybe my bracket, apart from those first two that have actually happened and completely failed, maybe my bracket comes completely true up till this point. And Brianne is facing Drew McWeeny in the semi-finals. And maybe Brianne pulls it. Maybe Brianne gets a musicals category on the second round on the wheel. But again, I can only see Drew McWeeny winning that. And you don't know how much I want to say that Brianne would win that. But I can only logically see Drew McWeeny going up against John Roker in the finals of the singles tournament. And I've said it twice now, the man's my favourite competitor. The Outlaw. I'm a proud member of Outlaw Nation from day one. I love the Top 10 show. I love the Cinephiles. I love whenever I see John Roker's boisterous face on any sort of Collider content. And I've got him beating Drew McWeeny in that finals. And I've got him winning the singles tournament for another chance at the belt that he has held once before. But I want to get him another chance at that belt. And that belt that currently sits around Commissioner Christian Harloff's waist. Harloff, who went on a great run in order to win the title. Didn't play a lot of games, but won those games that he had to. And beat Dan Murrell of Screen Junkies, who is, you'd have to say, the greatest we've ever seen in the movie trivia Schmoedown. But Harloff beat him. Harloff currently holds the belt. And I predict, when all this singles tournament is said and done, that John Roker will be coming back to challenge him for it. Now, how that one will go is a completely other question that I'm not going to get into now. Guys, I think that's going to wrap us up on our little discussion, should we call it, about the Schmoedown singles tournament. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. Hopefully you've been able to follow along. I know that those people who do listen, who do watch the Schmoedown and love it as much as I do, hopefully at least you have got something out of this. But yes, guys, if you did enjoy this episode, please leave a like and share it around. Use it. Share it around on Twitter and hashtag Schmoedown. let's get some Schmoedown fans in. Let's do that. That'd be nice. I'd like to meet more Schmoedown fans. I know a lot, but I'd like to meet some more. Please, if you are listening to this on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I should say, I always forget that it's now called Apple Podcast. Please leave a rate and review of the Enlightenment Hour. Let's get some of those up. If you're feeling generous, of course, I'd very much appreciate that. Or if you are, of course, on YouTube, please sub to this channel and use the notifications bell thing. Click on that. So you'll never miss another Enlightenment Hour if you click on that notifications bell. You can, of course, if you are on YouTube, also check out HorrorHouse, which is making its big return for Halloween month right now. There is, in fact, a brand new episode of HorrorHouse up right now. It was uploaded as of the time of this uploading. This is where scheduling comes into it. About 2 hours ago. So it's a gush about what we do in the shadows. It's a love letter to what we do in the shadows. Well, it's not really a letter. It's just me doing this and telling my love, showing the world how much I love what we do in the shadows. So go ahead over and listen to that as well. You can also, of course, find HorrorHouse on iTunes and Castbox as well. You can, of course, find the Enlightenment Hour on Castbox as well, and maybe even some other weird audio podcast hosting things. But yes, guys, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Enlightenment Hour. We will be getting back to guest-filled episodes very, very soon. I can promise you that. Some of the old favourites, and hopefully some new pretty big ones as well. Guys, thank you very much, as always, for watching. And until next time, goodbye.